So let's proceed and look at other markups that we have. So proceed to the drawings menu, and we have the pen. So if I click, we're going to have the pen activated. And with this particular markup, the first thing that you can do is to change the line that you are going to create with this particular marker. So probably if you want to do some sketches here, you can as well do so. If you want to look at something, you can do so. You can draw something using this particular marker. So there it is. Again, you can change the color, so that will be the appearance. Again, you can change the line weight. Probably we can have about 4. So with that, that is the line weight, that is the weight that we are going to get. So that is the pen. And then we have the highlight. You can decide to probably highlight something, and of course this might okay, let's say for example there is a problem with the dimension, probably this dimension, and this is just for illustration. You can just proceed and create some highlight showing that there is a problem there. That is it. And I've said the good thing with this particular Bluebeam is that you can export this particular region where we have the highlight, and then indicate or else have information indicating that there is a problem with this particular dimension. Then someone can be able to view that, and they can be able to understand it. We are going to look at an example of a real use of this particular highlight, and also other markups that we might have. So let's proceed back to the tools, and in this case we are concerned with the eraser. So when you add the pen and the highlight, you can decide to highlight, to erase. You use the eraser. You can remove this particular, okay, this eraser is only going to work with the pens that you have added. So it seems that the markers do, okay, the highlight do not work with this particular pen, but of course we have seen that it is working with the pen. It is also working with the pen. So for the highlight, if you want to remove it, you just need to select it and delete, so you don't have that option of erasing. And then you can do some sketching or detailing, whatever. You can do so by using the lines. So for example, I can click on the line and click to add the line. Now the lines, sometimes they're important when you want to refer to another point. Let's say I want to have a straight point, or I want to have a point where this particular corner meets this corner. I want to have a perpendicular point there. So you can proceed and use the line. I can click on the line and then click at this point to start placing it. Now for you to place this line on a straight line, you just need to hold down your shift key before doing the second clicking. So if you do the second clicking, or once, okay, not doing the second clicking, if you do the first clicking and then hold down your shift key, once you have the line at a particular point somewhere within a straight line, you can just hold down your shift key to restrain the movement of the cursor and have this line within a straight line. So that is the line, and it is very straight. So you can as well proceed. Okay, you can use the shortcut L to draw the line. Again, I'll click at this point, hold down my shift key, and then I do the second click. So in this case, I've known that there is a point there. So they can be used for references, and sometimes they are useful. And if you want to change them, you can as well do some changes to the lines. You can decide to have a start like that, or else we have a start like that, and then we also have an option to edit or to change the end. So we can have something like that. So you can use these particular lines. Sometimes they are useful when you are working with these particular drawings, these PDF drawings. Probably it can be used to show points. Probably the points you want to show, the extension of certain points, you can use the lines. And then the other markups, you can add an arrow. So in this case, you can add an arrow like that. So pointing at something, again, it is a markup. You can probably use it sometimes. I proceed back to the tools, markups. You can add an arc, you can add a polyline. Now in this case, let us add a dimension. Now for a polyline, you can see the difference between a line and a polyline. So if I click at the polyline, I can click another point, click again, and it will continue creating points. So that is the difference between a polyline and a line. So I'm going to undo like that, and then I'll press escape to deactivate that particular tool, and then I'll select this line and delete it, this line as well, and delete it. So I'm going to proceed back to the tools and have the polyline, shortcut shift plus N, and I can click at this particular point, hold down my shift. I want to have it at this point, so probably in this case we can hold down your shift, and you can see that there will be some snapping. So probably if you don't want to have these snaps because it is forcing my pointer to be this point, probably I don't want to be in this particular line. So you can turn off the snap from the, you can proceed to the view and turn off the snap to content. We can turn it off. So in this case, once you turn it off, you just need to hold down your shift, and I can click at this point to refine it. Now let me try. We want this point. Okay, let me try to zoom in, zoom out. Is snapping to this particular angle, so probably it might not be possible to proceed up to this point, but let me try. Yeah, I am not successful, so let me just proceed. But the idea is for you to understand that you can create polylines. I wanted to be straight up to this point, but it is not exactly, but I'll just click and then press enter, or else press escape. Any of that can work. So that is the polyline, and you can use it. Again, I'll proceed back to the tools, and we can choose a dimension. You can add a dimension here. Probably you can click at this point, and this point, of course, these are known dimensions. Hold down my shift to restrain it to a straight line, and then click. And once you click, you're going to have an option to add the dimension. So probably you can say that this is 3000 millimeters. So that is it. And of course, with this particular dimension, if you check it or if you select it, you can change the font size probably to 6. So that is the font size. You can change the color of the font from this point. You have the various this particular ends and the starts of this particular line. You can change the end, you can change the start, like that. So that is the dimension. You can add dimensions as a markup. We proceed back to the tools, and we have the option to add a rectangle. These are simple shapes. You can add rectangles. For example, I can decide to add a rectangle there, and then there we have the rectangle. You can decide to have a fill. So currently it is white, and if I click to change the fill, I can click at that point, and now we have a fill. If you want to have a hatch other than a fill, you can as well do so. So this one I can have it white, and then choose a hatch. We have hatches that have been added, and if you click on manage, you can import some hatches. So we have the standard hatches. You can proceed and add some hatches like that. So probably you can do some detailing using these particular shapes. Now I'll proceed back to the tools, and we have the ellipse. You can add an ellipse. These are simple shapes. I will add an ellipse at that particular point as well. Just like with the rectangle, you can add a hatch like that. You can change the hatch scale probably to 50, and sometimes you are required to click for the for this one to take effect. So click at that point, and now you can see the changes have actually been implemented. So click once again, and we have other options. For example, to change the boundary line, so that's why we have the line. You can change the color, like you see. You can change the color of the hatch from this point, like that. So those are the options that we have. Now we can add a cloud. So we have added the callout, but now we need to add the cloud. We have two kinds of clouds that we need, that we can add, the cloud and the cloud plus. So again, these are important for revision. I can click on the cloud, and probably at this point, okay, for the cloud, you need to draw uh, something to define it. So something like this. So the cloud is going to be defined. And now this one, you don't add any text. You can proceed and add some information here under the label. So probably you can say check there is a defect. So if you note something like that and you want to communicate to someone, you can use this particular cloud markup to to communicate to someone. So you can export this particular cloud markup, a revision markup, with this information attached. So someone will be able to see that there's a defect somewhere in the drawing, and we are going to see that. Now this one do not have a leader, and therefore we have the cloud plus, which comes with the leader. In this case, I can proceed and click at this point, and you can, once you do so, okay, if you click, you need to define the shape of that particular cloud, and then you have the option to place the leader and where the text should be. So I can click at that point, and in this case the information is going to be displayed within the on the screen or within the PDF. So here we can say there is a problem. So just something to illustrate. So that is it, and once you are done, you can just press enter or escape. Okay, in this case, because we are adding text, if you press enter, it is going to give you an option to add another line. In this case, we press escape, or yeah, we can just press escape like that. Again, this one has the leader, so we've got the option to choose the size of the cloud. So we have this particular cloud symbols. You can choose the size, the line weight, the fill. If you want some fields within this particular region, you can add some fields like that. And then if you don't want a fill, you can have some hatches, or you can combine them. You can combine the fill and hatches as well. Now sometimes you have this particular icon which is called none. Sometimes you find it when you are adding some fields, so you can have none, or none or white are still the same in this particular PDF. Yeah, that is the markups that we have within Bluebeam. You can insert an image to this particular PDF if need be, and yeah, that is it. And if you have some content, for example some text, you can strike through. So these are the content that we have added. Now currently we don't have the text, and okay, let me see. Yeah, we have this text. Okay, we don't want to go there, but gives you an option to add something to the text because we have text here. So let me just place Control plus Z, Control plus Z, and yeah, that is it. Those are the tools that we have for the markup, and you can use them to add the various okay, either revision markups, whether something you want to communicate to someone, whether you want to do some detailing, you can use some of these markups. Now the polygon is there, we have not looked at it, but it's very similar to the rectangles. In this case, the only thing or the difference is that here you have the option to create a polygon other than a simple rectangle there. So again, with it you can have a fill, and also you can either decide to have a fill, or you can decide to have a hatch combined with the fill, or else any of these. So those are the markups that we have, and we are going to see how we can now be able to arrange them and then make them useful, or then all export them for sharing. Okay, we can see something like that for sharing.